Hello, and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. The goal of this podcast is to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name's John Ainsworth, and today's guest is Liz Wilcox. Now, Liz is turning bloggers into business owners. She knows how to write a newsletter real quick and how to get people on your list to buy your stuff. And the first product that she ever sold was about poop. So we might get into that. And now she's selling access to Google Docs, and she's going to explain more about all of that. We're going to get into a whole load of stuff here about email copywriting and the value of it and how to use that to scale your course business. Now, before we start learning from Liz, I want to mention our sponsor. The Art of Selling Online Courses is brought to you thanks to my company, Data Driven Marketing. And we help online course creators to increase their online course revenue 20 to 100% through strategic funnel optimization. What we do is we figure out where's the holes in your funnel that are losing you sales, help you to fix it, and help you to increase revenue quickly. So go to datadrivenmarketing.co/calculator to find out how much more you could be making from your courses with the ideal funnel. Liz, welcome to the show.
What is up, John? I am so stoked to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
Well, thanks for coming on. I'm really looking forward to this. So after I did it in the intro there, we're going to have to talk about it. How is your first course about selling poop?
Okay, so actually it wasn't a course, it was just a product. It was an ebook, and I used to be an RV blogger, and I started out as a business. You know, a lot of people start blogging for fun or, yeah, I think I can make some money. Maybe I'll put ads on my site. But I was gung ho. I was like, oh, you tell me it's going to take 3 years to make a full-time living. I'm going to take 2. And so I launched my first product within 6 months, and it was a book about poop. If you've ever RV'd or caravaned, whatever you call it, the black tank is where the sewage goes, to put it lightly. And so the book was called Tales from the Black Tank. And it was just a collection of crappy stories about RVing, and people ate it up. I'm based in the US, as you can probably tell from my accent. And I actually picked up an international sponsor, and they gave me money to give this thing away for free. It was crazy. And that is how I got into, that is the humble beginnings of course creation for Liz Wilcox.
Awesome. So why RVs? I guess you were into RVing yourself. Is that the starting point?
Yeah. So I started my online business because at the time I was married and my husband was in the military, and we had to move very quickly from New York to Alabama, and we were buying a house. The deal fell through. And my husband said something like, everyone in Alabama lives in a trailer. No shade if you're listening to this and you live in Alabama. Like, let's just buy an RV. Let's buy a travel trailer, something like that. And at first, I said, no, I'm a distinguished woman. I would never live in an RV. And then I rented one off Airbnb.com. And I was like, oh, this is sweet. I don't like to spend a lot of money. This seems pretty cheap. And I hate cleaning. And this is 200 square feet. So 8 days later, we bought an RV. I start Googling stuff, and then I see all these digital nomads, course creators, online bloggers, and they're like, oh yeah, I get paid by Camping World or whoever. And here I am traveling, visiting these national parks, or that's what it seemed like to me. And I said, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. I'm going to start an RV blog. I'd never RV'd. And that's kind of where the book about poop came in. I wasn't traveling at the time. We bought the RV, we were living in it. And I thought, how can I distinguish myself from these people that are posting on Instagram, these beautiful, like the yoga poses at the Grand Canyon. Like, I can't compete with that. I'm in this trailer park in Alabama. And I just started, kind of like I'm doing now, telling jokes. And I asked my people, and this is, if you're listening, usually during summits, I do a sound effect, ding. This is like something to pay attention to. I actually started asking my audience, because it was kind of all over the place. I'm trying to compete with these like beautiful RV bloggers that are like professional videographers. And I said, I'm just going to ask these people why they follow me. I had a couple hundred at the time. I'd been doing it for a few months, and I hadn't even traveled a single mile. And so I said, why do you follow me? And they said, well, you can tell a good story and you're funny. So I said, well, my first product should be a collection of funny stories. And so I put it out there. This is another like how to just get your minimal viable product done. I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't even know this was like a strategy. It just seemed like I don't like to do things that are hard. I was telling John that before we hit record. And it just seemed like the easiest thing. Well, I'm just going to ask people. I don't like to guess, right? And so I asked them, I said, hey, you told me this. I'm going to create this story. Here's the working title. Oh my gosh, I love that, Liz. That sounds great. I said, great, send me $10. And once I got $50, I had to set up a PayPal. I had nothing, right? I had to set up a PayPal. I had, people literally just, super grassroots in the DMs, like, here's my link. And they sent me $10. I told them I was going to charge 20. I said, give me 10 now. I'm going to, this will be $20 for a book on poop. Like whatever you're selling, you can sell it too, if I can sell that, right? And I got $50 and I said, okay, $50. Holy crap. Never in my life would I think like strangers on the internet would give me cash. I better create this thing. I took 6 weeks and I didn't even write the book. I had other blogger friends like, hey, put a chapter. I know you've got a crappy story. Send it to me. I'll give you an affiliate. I Googled how to split commission. Oh, affiliate. That's a cool word. I'll give you an affiliate link. I had 12 other bloggers. It was 13 chapters. And like I said, it ended up getting picked up by a sponsor who thought it was just so great. And it just put that fire in my belly, like, wow, what else is possible? And John, I know you were going to ask me about this. That's how I started. I actually got into like the summit game after creating that book, because I was in a mastermind with some friends. And I went back to them. We're all RV bloggers. I said, you guys, I just made $7,000 on a book about crap. Like, you guys are way smarter than me. If I can sell this, I know you can come up with a product. I launched that in July. This was August. I'm thinking about, everyone, I'm Googling and everyone's like, do a holiday sale. I'm like, oh, by the holidays, we can all create these products and we can bundle it together and sell it. And they said, that sounds great, Liz, but we don't have any products. I said, well, if I just took 6 weeks, you can do it, come up with something. We'll meet next week. And they all came up with different products. Then we started branching out. This was before digital summits. This was before COVID. So digital summits like weren't a thing. This was 2017, 2016. I don't know, 2017, I think. And somebody created a course on remote work. Somebody wrote another book. There was a course on like RV financing. And we pulled in a couple other RV bloggers that already had products. And then they all said, well, Liz, how are we going to sell this thing? My email list is 100 people. I've got, 200 Facebook followers. And I said, have you ever heard of Shark Week, on Discovery Channel? And everything, all the content, 24 hours a day for 5 days is just sharks. I said, let's do that with RVing. And we'll call it Full-Time Freedom Week. And we'll just talk about full-time RVing. And Facebook Live had just started. It was a brand new thing. Like you could see commercials on TV for Facebook Live, right? And they were like, okay, well, we're just going to post videos. And I said, well, we'll set up an event in Facebook and we'll go live from the event every hour on the hour for like 5 days. And they're like, no, we're not doing that. I said, oh, come. But they did it. And now they all have their own successful businesses and sponsorships and courses and all that. And we ended up we sold something for $47. It was just a bundle of products, right? Mm-hmm. I guess, a course, but it was just a bundle of products. We sold it for, I believe, $97. And we made something like $4,400. And to me, I might as well have made $1 million. I mean, I was 11 months into this, quote unquote business, just a girl living on Mountain Dew and a dream in Alabama. And after that, I just haven't stopped since that. I actually lost money on that first summit because I did the math wrong and I paid everyone out equally. And I told them I would pay them X. And so that when I paid them X, I was like minus $200. But like I said, I might as well have been a millionaire because I saw what was possible. If you just got enough people excited around you and you just asked for the sale. I went live for 3 hours on the finale and interviewed something like 10 people. And I just kept saying like, we worked so hard, please buy this. Like literally the very simplest sales strategy. Like I was just going for broke. I was like, look at all this damn effort. Like I'm on campground Wi-Fi. This is costing me $100 just to go live right now. Please buy this. I know it's good. Right. And people bought it. I don't know if they bought it just because they were like, wow, this lady is sweating, or, they thought the product was really good. Either way, we made the sales.
Wow. Okay. So when was this? 2017? You said?
Yes, sir.
So fast forward a little bit. I know that you managed to make a real success of that with the course. Talk me through, what were you doing? Were you always doing summits to drive traffic? Did you get a lot of traffic through blogging? How does it all working for traffic?
Yeah, for traffic's sake, honestly, I've always been super focused on digital products and hyper focused on my email list. I'm not worried about getting ads on my site or, anything like that. My strategy was to get as many people on my email list. And not only that, but really create an environment, I guess you could say, so that people are actually opening. So I don't have to have these like, exceptional numbers. And when people say 1% conversions, I'm like, no, I'm just going to double down on really getting to know my email list so that I actually create things where I can say, hey, I worked hard on this, buy it. And they do, because they trust me that freaking much. And so as far as traffic goes, the summit, but actually I did it with my partner. So that was a separate email list that, legally I couldn't just transfer over. But that did obviously give me a ton of visibility. I was the quote unquote MC of it. So I was the face, doing all the lives. And so that got me some publicity. I did a ton of guest posting or doing interviews like this and just really putting my face out there. This is a recording, so you can see the hives. Like I get hives. I still have, an issue with public speaking, as crazy as that seems, because I'm like loud and proud, but there's still that subconscious thing. But I believed in it so much, and I really wanted to get to know my people. So I was just putting myself out there in that way and getting people on the email list. And then, like all the gurus say, the money's in the list. I was living in an RV with a 2-year-old and, working in the margins, so to speak, because my husband was, in the military, gone a lot. And so just really building that email list, asking them, why the heck do you follow me? Why did you subscribe? My freebie's not that good. And just really getting to know them, spending a lot of time. If I saw them on my email list, and then I kind of saw their face on Facebook, so to speak, saying, hey, making those correlations and really making true connections, so that the traffic didn't have to be super high, but the conversion was, right? And not even, conversion to a sale, because I was still, this mini blogger. I didn't have a course or anything like that, but just getting that open rate up. And let's say, my first 1,000 people, making sure. You hear that, like, you only need 1,000 true fans to make a living or something. Like, okay, well, I just got one more person on my list, so I'm going to make sure that I email that person back. And setting up my welcome sequence, it really encourages the person to reply back. And I would go back and forth with people for days. And this is just getting into a little email tip, getting them to reply in the first few days, that's what makes a lasting customer. Even if they haven't bought your tripwire or whatever, that sets the stage. I tell people this is like email staircase you need to follow. Like first you have a follower, get them on your list, then you turn them into a friend, doing that kind of stuff I was telling you about. And then you can have a customer, because you can basically just ask them what they want, right? Because you know them, you've been talking to them. And as you grow, obviously you can't be in your inbox all day, but you start to see patterns as people hit reply, oh, this is my problem or whatever. And I just kept doing that and just really focusing on strengthening my list. I let blogging go. I was technically a blog. Someone actually messaged me one day and said, Liz, you're the only blogger that I know that I don't see actually writing blog posts. You seemingly make more money than the rest of them, and you're in more places. And I'm like, well, I'm focusing on what's the highest ROI. I tell people all the time, I'm a 2-step chick. I'm not doing anything that takes more than 2 steps. And so email marketing seemed to be the simplest thing, set up the freebie, do podcast interviews like this, get the people flooding in, and then get them in my inbox where I'm clearly a talker, right? And so that's much more, I don't like the way how easily you laughed at that, John. No, I'm clearly a talker. And so being able to create those real connections and really knowing what they want, like I said a couple minutes ago, I don't like to guess. Course creation, digital product creation should not be a guessing game. That's what makes you quit. That's what makes you say, like, I'm going back to my 9 to 5 or whatever. But when you actually know what they want, that's when you can see those incredible conversions and, create that webinar of your own one day that's like, this is how amazing it was, when you're not guessing anymore.
Nice. You were doing all of this replying back and forth to people. What size was your email list for this? Because that sounds like a lot of people, I think, would hear that and be like, oh, that sounds difficult, like quite a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the more you do it, the more you can have a sort of canned response. I mean, I'm not talking you have to, go out and get Groove HQ and actually have canned responses, but you can just very simply, and well, I'll just give it to you. Someone replies to you. Well, first of all, just put in a yes or no question. People are not going to reply if you ask, John, you sent out an email. What's your biggest struggle with course creation? It's like, I don't know you, John. I don't have time for this. I've got a million other things I'm doing, archive, delete, whatever. But if you ask, have you launched your course yet? Hit reply yes or no. That's a wicked easy question. They already know the answer to, and they can just hit reply and say yes or no. And then you can come back. First of all, you don't have to write this lengthy reply because they didn't tell you their sob story and now you feel obligated to sit there all day. You can just say, and this is, write this down, like, hey, Liz, I'm so excited that you're going to launch your first course soon. If the answer is no, happy to get to know you, or excited to get to know you better, John. That's it. And you just do that, again and again. And eventually you can outsource that, and if you've got a list of 10, 20,000 people, of course, then maybe you don't need as much voice of customer. So you can scale back those types of questions. But as you're getting started with email marketing and your course, that stuff is really important to get people to open and hit reply.
Nice. Let's go through a few numbers if you know them. And if you don't know them, apologies, I'm going to dig into this.
Yeah, I was telling John, if I remember them, some of the stuff is a while ago, but I'm more than happy to share what I can remember or give estimates.
So I know that you sold your course, but before that, what were you getting in terms of monthly website visitors?
Yeah. Before, you mean like as I was about like ramping up for the course before the course existed?
Mm-hmm. I guess whatever the most recent point is, like what did you
Yeah, I will tell, well, let me just say I never had more than 28,000 views a month.
Okay.
At the time of launching the course, it was probably 10 to 15 on average. Like I said, I focused more on the email marketing and those types of leads than paying attention to my traffic. But I did outsource a Pinterest manager. So she did send me the views once a month because I was like, well, I do have blog posts. I should get some ads. But I would say on average, 10 to 20,000 for the first 3 years of that blog.
And then how many people were on your email list?
I would say when I launched that book about poop, I had 300 people on my list. I made 70 sales in the first week. And then I hit 1,000 in the first 13 months. I actually changed my strategy and I started giving away that book for free because the leads were more important. I started to think about that value ladder, right? It steadily grew from there. I think when I was thinking about launching the course in December of 2018, I think I had about 2,500 people on the email list.
Cool.
Actually, yeah, I think so. And then I actually sold that course, literally sold it. I no longer own that course. I actually sold the entire blog. I had about 5,000 people on my email list, but I had a 48% open rate.
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying. Did you just get chills? I did. I love bragging about that. You didn't ask, but I told you.
Wow.
That's the data that I love. I'm obsessed with open rates. That's when you can really, like I do copywriting, but I'm not professionally trained, but I'm so obsessed with the open rate that it taught me how my audience speaks. It taught me a lot about how to interact with your audience, how to pick up on those little nuances to put them in the copy, to get the open rate higher, to get the conversion rate higher, stuff like that. Right now I have almost 1,000 people on my list and my open rate is like 54%.
Wow, that's off the charts. That's fantastic.
Thank you for noticing. It really is. That is my expertise. And when, you're watching this, you're listening and you're, like, what is your expertise? And that's when you can, if you lean really heavy into it and you just trust yourself, you can get off the chart results. I really do believe that.
Nice. Cool. Okay. So let's talk email marketing then. So what are the issues that you see people have with email marketing? You mentioned before we started recording about the fear of emailing too much.
Yeah. So I think the main thing about email marketing that makes it really difficult for people is, and this is something that I really want to like Bill Gates wants to eradicate polio from the planet. I want to eradicate this feeling. So, you go, you got your keyboard, right? And you go to sit down and, I just listened to this podcast with John and Liz, and they say I should write my newsletter and that's going to help me sell more. You open ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign, whatever, and then you just sit there feeling stupid because you have no idea what to write and you don't know how to connect and you're not like Liz, loud and proud and like, what do I say to these folks? I want to eradicate that feeling. I want to make it super simple for you because you don't have to overcomplicate it. Selling is the way funnels are, like, the simpler that you can keep it, the better. And so on top of that, what was your question again? You had a really good one.
What's the issue that you see people have with email marketing?
Oh, okay. So that's the number one issue. And then also the consistency of it, staying on top of it. And I find a lot of the advice out there with email marketing is tell more stories. I've even said it, right? Connect with your folks. Then that's when you're going to get the data, right? But here's the thing, the majority of people giving out that advice are copywriters that literally tell stories for a living. You're a course creator, you're a blogger, you're a service provider, whatever. You don't tell stories for a living. So that's really hard for you. That is what puts your butt in the chair, stressing, anxiety in your stomach because you don't know what to say because you've got your 10th grade English teacher, Mrs. Miller, back here like, a story must have a beginning, an end, a middle, a conclusion, and that's the same as the summary at the top. Like, get Mrs. Miller out of here. She doesn't belong in the inbox. Like, she was teaching a really like archaic way of writing, and that's not how we work in the digital space. I want to free you from that.
I want to know, Liz, do you hate Mrs. Miller? Like, is she done you wrong? Are you just saying forget about her? Or is it like, is she a bitch? Like, what's going on here?
She's just ignorant, and not in like a stupid way. Just what she's teaching is not applicable to internet and to digital marketing. She's really tall, kind of awkward, lanky arms that she doesn't really know what to do with. They make her wear a dress when she's clearly not a dress lady. And so she's just harping on you about the conclusion, right? Like, get her out of here.
Yeah. She doesn't belong, does she?
Right. Like, let's hang out with Miss Wilcox.
Miss Wilcox is going to get us some tequilas.
I'm in the house. We've got Mountain Dew on tap and it's a party. We're listening to NSYNC. Maybe we're watching Seinfeld on the break. Like, it's a party. When we think of a story, when we hear this advice of tell more stories, people connect through stories. That's 100% true. And if you're good at storytelling, freaking go for it. But here's what I believe to be the facts. You don't have time to write a story. That takes a long time, right? And your reader probably doesn't have time to read a story. If you're telling a story every single time that you write a newsletter, Like that's going to, Melissa, I know that's going to be a long one. I'm going to save that for later. No, you want someone to click right now, right? You want that crazy off the charts open rate. And so if you can just give versus story, if you can just give a personal update, and by personal update, I mean, if John was writing his newsletter after we got off the call, like, hey, I just recorded this new podcast episode with this girl named Liz. She was wearing a Seinfeld shirt. I won't give it all away, but that's not the most interesting part of her story or whatever, right? By the way, here's a link to XYZ. And that's it. I just wrote the newsletter and that took me probably 8 seconds. So a personal update is just something that gives a little bit of insight into your life, maybe a little bit of personality, right? And then you just segue into the content, right? If you don't even have any content, you can segue into someone else's content, or you can say, well, I just wanted to email you today because Liz Wilcox tells me that I should hit reply and let me know what's up with you. Like, have you talked to anyone interesting lately? Something like that. And it just makes it so much more simple for you and your reader to know what to expect. Stories, yes, tell stories, but don't feel that you need to tell them every single time. I would say, tell stories more when you're really ramping up for the sale, or, when you really have a good one and you can make a very clear connection into whatever your point is. But yeah, get Miss Miller out of here.
Yeah, I know.
Does that make sense?
I can't stand that woman. So here's something we do, right? Here's something that I advise people to do because it's actually really straightforward and it works really easily for online course creators, but it's not perfect. So I want to get your input on it and see what you think about it.
Ooh, improv. I feel like I'm in high school again.
A lot of online course creators, you know what they're really good at? Teaching. And there's the ideal is not to necessarily teach lots of stuff because that's what the courses are for, but it's something that they can do and it's something they're comfortable with and it's something that their audience likes. So what we do is when we've got an email promotion, so I want to get somebody started with doing email promotions, we say, right, take 5 tips out of your course. Tiny little tips, something somebody could implement in 5 minutes or less, that they can read the thing, learn about it, do the exercise, make an improvement in 5 minutes. And 5 days, send out those tips. And also promote your course in that by saying, this is taken from X course. If you want to get the course, it's got a 30% discount this week. Go and get it now. Something really straightforward. I'm going to go into numbers a little bit here. That tends to get somewhere around a 0.1 to 0.5% conversion rate to a sale from the whole email buying, somewhere in that kind of range, depending on the relationship with the audience, the price of the product, etc. Now, I love that because all course creators that I talk to are like, oh, I could do that. That's cool. I'm totally up to that. But it's not perfect. What do you think about that as an approach? And would you do anything to tweak that?
I actually really super duper love that. If you give me permission, I'll share my screen. I did something very similar the other day. I would say that as long as you're doing that consistently, it's going to make the difference. And also, you can put a little bit of your personality into it. Don't be afraid. I know it's, that's a sales email technically, but you can do it with a little bit of personality. I would suggest what I do, and I'll show you in a second. I always tell people my goals. I was telling John this little analogy before we hit the record button of like, picture yourself as the farmer at the farmer's market, and you want to get people like so excited about your products that they're not waiting for you at the table. They're not like coming up, here's the table. They're not coming up, looking at your apples, your different products. Like they are at the farmer's market behind the vendor's table, bringing out the product for you because that's how excited they are. But also they feel like they're part of something. They are literally helping you make the sale. And when you can create and cultivate that type of community, that's when you have those outrageous numbers. So can you give me screen permission? I'm going to show you the email. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't even click the button yet. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my convert kit. I was telling John, I just launched a new membership about 3 weeks ago. It's called Email Marketing Membership. Great for SEO, right? I couldn't believe it wasn't taken. And so there's a funny GIF in this email. That was my newsletter for the week. And I kind of did something a little similar, but I'll show you how I inserted that personality. As you can see, almost a 47% open rate, 12% click rate, only 4 unsubscribers.
This as a podcast and you haven't got the video, you can go to our Facebook group. It's Advanced Online Course Creators, and you can see the video in that group.
And in the show notes, we'll put this share button so you can actually read the email.
Perfect.
And so this is where I give a little more personal update. I usually tell people it can be 2 to 5 sentences, but I had a lot to say. I was feeling chatty that day, I guess. So I've got a couple things. Hey, my landlord canceled her summer bookings. I'm going to be able to extend my lease. And then this is where kind of the click goes crazy is, you know, I live in my happy place. Here it is if you're interested. And yes, it really looks like that. See, I'm kind of teasing them. This is a little bit of copywriting. Right? Yeah. And so this is, I live about a 4-minute walk from all of this.
Wow.
And so that's, you know, that's just a side note. Like if you need to get your click rate up, do something like that. And then, you know, then I went to the dentist. I have no cavities, whatever. And this is where I'm pulling people into my goals. So I've previously told them I'm launching this email marketing membership and I want to get 100 people in the first 30 days. So at the time of this, I had 85 members. I'm only 15 people away from my goal of 100. You know, I restate the goal. If you're one of the 85, muchas gracias. And so I'm not even segmenting. Like this is just going to everyone, right? Like that's too much work. Like I said, I'm a 2-step chick. I don't like to do anything that's too hard. You know, if you're thinking about joining, do it now so you can brag about being one of the first. That goes again to that analogy of them like taking the stuff out of the van for you at the farmer's market, you know, and I say, I basically plan on this thing blowing up the internet. Then I created my own GIF. And this is where it gets into kind of what John was saying about giving them tips. You know, you're watching this, you're a teacher. It's hard for you to think of this concept, right? And so this is like, oh, anyway, you're here for email tips. Like I'm over here ranting about this, but what you really want are email tips. So I say, here's one for the week. Use your own personalized GIFs. And I kind of give a little bit of how to do it. And then this is another thing that I do to get replies, to get that open rate up. Because if someone replies to you, your emails will almost always go into the inbox. They will never go to spam. It signals the internet gods, right? So I said, if you need help, just let me know. I'll send you a video of me walking you through it. So I've had a few of those. But this is just the real quick, you know, simple thing. This is that personal, like, hey, email marketing membership, you can join now. And I even put a little GIF in to kind of entice them. So I hope that helps. But I do love your strategy. I would just suggest in the sales pitch or making the sales pitch, you know, just a little more personal, sharing about your goal. I know when I was launching that RV maintenance course, I was telling them, I want to hit 100. I want to hit 100. You know, something like that. Or, you know, then when I relaunched, you know, we have 200 students, we have 300 students. Wouldn't you like to be one of the first 400? Things like that. Like, okay, this is data-driven marketing. Share that data with your people and do it in that exciting way. And like, people they just want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of your goal, right? And then when they do that, they're so much more likely to buy again and again. Like NSYNC, buy, baby. Like it's all day long. I hope that's helpful.
This tactic for me, I first saw this. It was come up with by a very good friend of mine called Shona Beckwith, and she runs Perfect English Grammar. And so she does, it kind of connects back to what you just said. Every one of her emails starts with an update on the weather today in London. It's raining. It's raining more. It's raining a little bit less today.
And that's consistency, and that's branding, and that's like, okay, I dropped my phone over here so it wouldn't buzz, but you know, you grab your phone when you're on Facebook, you know, you're ignoring things, right? They've inundated you with so many ads, you're just scrolling. But when you open up your Gmail or your Outlook, you are literally looking for something to click on, right? Like, do I have anything interesting? It's the exact same as when you go to your actual mailbox and, you immediately throw away the junk and you are so freaking excited when someone actually sends you something, right? So how can you translate that into the inbox? Like, your person is doing the same behavior. They are actively looking for something to click on. They are trying to get rid of the spam. And, how can you get them that excited? Like, oh my gosh, that's an email from John. I can't wait to open it. And so, with example, it's raining again. Like, they know what to expect. And, that helps lead them into like, oh, I'm going to open this because I know what it is. I know there's something valuable inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. 100%. All right, cool. So we're getting people replying in the first few emails. That lets the internet gods know that this is a good email, should go to the inbox. We also then building relationship, and we're learning about our audience. We're learning what kind of things they want, and we're making connections with them. We're using some fun little personal connections, and the fact that we did those original getting people to reply, and then giving tips to get the email open rate up. So now we've got a nice high open rate. This is great. How do we make money out of this? So we've got there might have been open in that. You had something that you were telling me about, I wanted you to share with everybody, where you had 141 people interested in buying something from you. Can you fill us in on that one?
Yeah. So, circling back, I had this RV blog and, I'm hitting reply, they're hitting reply. And I realized the biggest gap is nobody knows anything about RV maintenance. And my husband at the time was an RV mechanic. And, I begged and pleaded, like, please create a course. I know how to sell it. I'll pay you. I'll give you half of the profits. Just, create this course for me. So he did. And so I sent out an email and I said, hey, and this is right. You can go to lizwilcox.com and you can see the screenshot of this. I said, hey, we're thinking of creating this course or this resource on RV maintenance. Click here if that sounds cool. Like, if you'd be into that. And I had 141 people. And I said, well, if only 10 of those people bought, it would be worth it. It would be a good start. And so I took it was about 100 days. And every newsletter, that personal update was about the course. It was, hey, we started filming. Hey, we've got these modules. What should be the next one? Really getting them, like I said, like in the van, like at the farmer's market with you, right? Like, they are the company at this point.
Right.
And, I started a live show and I would agitate the pain point there. I would invite people on to talk about those tales from the black tank, those crappy RV stories, and, that were related to RV maintenance, and, really setting the stage. And so by the time I launched it, I had those 141 people. And by the time I launched it about 90, 100 days later, at the end of cart close, it was a 5-day open, Monday to Friday. I had 141 sales. So I won't drop my mic because that'll ruin the recording. But yeah, and I mean, it wasn't exactly that, everyone on the wait list bought. I sent out those emails to other parts of the list too. But it really is like, because I was able to do all those things and really create something for those people. First you have a follower, I turn them into a friend, and then, I turn them into a customer because I knew so much about them that, they couldn't help but buy. They couldn't help but got the mouse on the trigger or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
when is it opening, right? And because they were a part of the entire process, yeah, it was crazy. And then I actually ended up selling that course, the whole entire business. By the time of the sale, 11 months later, we had over 300 students, and now they have about 450 students.
Nice. So what was it doing in terms of revenue? Like a month or something, that course?
So that first launch, it was, 141 sales at $99. So, about 14 or 15,000. And then I did a few different launches, got the bulk of a lot of students. I actually bundled it with some other stuff, and they put my course in there, and I got 70% of the sales. And that did really well. I can't remember the exact number, but it was something like another 200 people. And they sold that bundle for like, it's like $70. So 70 times 200, whatever that was. And then I did a couple more like mini, flash sales. And then I did a Black Friday, and then I did a Christmas thing at the 197 price. So I'm sorry, I should have gotten those numbers for you, John. I know you're a data guy.
It's not fair. Yeah.
But I think it was just under six figures or something, at the end of the day. And then I sold it, and, the new course owners did it. And that's the beauty of it. Like the book, I didn't write the book. I didn't even create I've never even changed a tire on a bike, but somehow I was able to sell this course on RV maintenance. And that's because I knew my people. When I say turn them into a friend, I don't mean, like your best buddy that you're calling on the phone when your dog dies, but someone that, take the RV example, that loves RVing just as much as you, and you can chit chat back and forth about it. You can talk about how it's raining in London, every dang day of your life, and they'll chuckle at it, and then you get on with whatever, right? That kind of friend. And those are the kinds of friends that you want on your email list.
Nice. So what I'm thinking for us, because we've got a coaching program we're launching April 19th, we're doing coaching for people who are online course creators, help them to fix the holes in their funnel and increase their revenue. And I've been letting people know it's coming, but I've not been talking about how we're developing it and what's ready now and what's getting done next. So that's some stuff we could start to drip and kind of give people.
I'm wagging my finger if you're watching the podcast. That's the biggest thing, is hype. The more excited that you are, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm so excited about this. The more excited that you are, the more you raise that level of excitement, the more exciting it will be. Like, look at Apple and, music. I get a lot of inspiration from pop culture. And why is pop culture so popular? Because there's so much damn hype around it. Like, I'm wearing a shirt that's a Seinfeld, and that show hasn't been on in, 22 years, that's like older than Kylie Jenner probably, but why am I still wearing this? Because there's still so much hype around it. Why would I buy this shirt? Because I feel hyped up about it. I'm excited to be a part of it. Like, when I wear this shirt, I hope someone says something about it, right? I'm like, ooh, can I find another Seinfeld fan? And so when you hype up your course, when you give that process behind it and share, they become attached to it before they even purchase it. So yes, be your own hype man. Like, picture yourself on the concert, you're the one with the mic, but you're also the guy in the back that's like, yo, John in the house, what's up? Right? You've got to be both. You've got to be both. If you don't hype yourself, nobody else is going to be excited about it.
Nice. Got it. Liz, that's been awesome. I'm looking forward to getting my own email open rates up to 48, 54%, mimicking you on this one. You've got something really exciting that you've just started. You're saying that you've got your, whatever it was, 98 members at the moment for it, the email marketing membership. Do you want to give everybody a bit of a heads up about it? And so if people are interested, they can sign up?
Yeah. I know we're running out of time, but first you can just check me out at lizwilcox.com. If you feel like there's some gaps in this, like literally all the info on how to start email marketing, because I feel like it's so important. It's literally on my homepage. You don't even have to opt in. But I do have an email marketing membership. That's the name of it. I was like, oh, I'll just call it that. I was like, I'm not changing that. That's perfect, right? So at the time of this recording, it's 3 weeks old. We've got 90 members now, and I'm trying to get to 100. I'm sure hopefully by the time you listen to this, we'll hit it. But basically, I just send out weekly templates. If you're like, oh, what the heck do I write? What is the purpose of emailing? I send out weekly templates where I give you an email explanation. Like when I sent out yesterday was a click crazy email, and it's basically the one I just showed you. And it's like, well, if you need to get your click rate up, which you always do, this is the email you sent. John said it. Like, how could you not click that link, right? And so I break down the email. I give you a skeleton outline, a detailed template, and 2 swipes. So you can just take them and make them your own. That's sent out weekly. And with the swipes, it doesn't matter what kind of course creator you are. I give different examples. I even have like hairstylists in the program. So I've written for digital products, physical products. So I really want everyone to know, like, email marketing is for you. I don't care what you're doing. Like, you need to be emailing, and I'm going to show you how. And you also get monthly what to send. So in March, on March 1st, you write this. March 7th, like, here's your email. March 17th. I remember that the 17th because that's St. Patrick's Day. So I was like, here's exactly what you write. And then we do monthly Q&As, of course.
I'm in Ireland right now, and I'm going to be here on March 17th, and I hadn't realized.
Yeah, and it's only the email marketing membership. It's only $9. I want it to be really inclusive. I find a lot of the resources out there, when you're first starting out, maybe you're not that sold on email marketing. So I wanted to make it a really inclusive price so that everyone can get and really see what's possible. And you just saw my screen share of ConvertKit, so you can see what is really possible.
Nice. I love it. Cool. Okay. Liz, thanks so much. That's been fantastic. I really appreciate all of your insights on this and all of your sharing all these tips with everybody. Everybody listening, if you found this interview useful, give us a review wherever you have been listening to this, and come join the Advanced Online Course Creators group on Facebook. You get access to the videos of these early before they're out as a podcast. And you get access to me and my team and everybody else who's in the group, helping you to grow your online course business. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks, Liz. Catch you guys later.
Thank you.